Never put it in your head that you're a celebrity. You go to a place and who cares? Nobody knows that you're a celebrity for what. I had just finished Tusker Project Fame. In my head, I'm feeling like the principal. I'm feeling like the voice coach. And I'm feeling like everybody should know who Hellen Mtawali is. So hiyo nimetoka hapa airport, and the airport in Nairobi, Kenya, they're like, oh, principal, wow, Tusker Project Fame, wow, when are you coming back? Everybody knows me. Nafika London wananiuliza, who are you? Wakati huo, there was the people like, do you know me? You should know people. You should know people. I was asked literally that question throughout the whole journey in the US. Na mimi nikasema, God give me the ability and power. By the time I leave the US, kila mtu imejua Hellen ni nani. My name is Hellen Olivia Akotomolu. Nyarnyakach makine nakawuto tadongora therefore. No, it's my South African name. When I went to South Africa, in Johannesburg and Pretoria, when I get there, the South Africans call me. We call you no. So my South African name is no. If you want to know my name from Nigeria, hey, make you halala and call me. I can go tell you. But for now, make you know that I will do. On Boom Live, they call me Odogu. I do MCing on Boom Live as well. When I came in here, I was asked, Helen, how many languages do you speak? I speak 16 languages. So some of the extra things that I think I marvel, I don't even know how in my brain it goes. Now, it's time to speak Kikuyu. Or it's time to speak Arabic. A musician can master so much and sing that within a short time. And so I use that skill to be able to also master many other things. For those of you who are musicians and you're struggling with your schoolwork, just put that in music and you'll be surprised at how well you will perform. Girl Joju, Rusasa Kiki Krokro, Enej Saproet, Sijeledo, Jauj Minaha, Zehak, Sekmal, Mama Lujo Ak, Rokoko Gaife, Feel called Tesa, Tempted Feel Eja, Pepe Jojo Joju. Revelation 66 books of the Bible in 1 minute and in order. Look at that. If you're actually struggling with mastery of your content, put it in music. It will give you everything in order because you will have mastered it. It's music. Remember, a musician can sing for 3 hours, all from the head. And what is that? Music sharpens your memory. My musical journey began in my mother's womb, and I say it everywhere. My mother said, I went, kicking her on this side. Before I know it, I'm on this other side. Before I know it, I'm also almost penetrating her mouth to get out. So my mother said I used to beat box a lot in her tummy. But at some point, I almost died. My mother said what rescued me was when there was a lot of foam in my mouth, I went, Damu, ya Yesu, Damu, ya Yesu, Damu. My mother thought I died. But that song, when I woke up or I came to, I sang that song. And after singing that song, my mother said, my baby better be dedicated to the church and in God's ministry in singing. Luckily enough, they nurtured my music. Anytime people would come to our house, I would sing. We would sing. We're a family of 6 at that time, 2 gentlemen and 4 girls. Unfortunately, 2 have gone to be with the Lord. So, different occasions. Yeah, so now tumebaki madume, ushachapona mama wako. Yeah, so now, yeah, they really nurtured my music. Anytime our father would want us to sing and teach us some music for the choir, would sing together. So it was a performance and a stage every single day. Yeah. Before we pray, we would sing. So for that, that was really, really good nurturing. And then we would hear voices because he sings in the choir, teaches the choir. So the father would teach us alto and tenor. So he sings tenor. My sister sings soprano. I sing alto. With my big voice, I would be able to balance all of them. And my mother would sometimes sing alto, but my dad would be like, you're singing alto, but there's imbalance here. So sometimes she sings alto, I sing tenor with him, like that. So it would balance out, which would make me feel very proud because I learned how to do harmonies at a very tender age. I started singing with the choir when I was like in class 5, big choir, main choir, and I was a soloist. Every term, end of term, I would be asked to sing in front of a parade for kids from nursery school all the way. So I knew that in every school I would go, they would identify my voice. And that's what happened throughout until Daystar University. So in Daystar, I started songwriting through courtesy of a Mzungu who mentored me called Dr. Roberta King. And we sang, she sang. I used to really, really believe that I can sing like an African American until I met her. She said, Helen, you are a Luo from Kenya. Can we get a Luo song? And I started teaching our songs, writing our songs, and they would make sure that every time I perform at Nairobi Baptist, I sing at the beginning and sing at the end. Hata kama ulikuwa utakuwepo utahepa kweli, you can't hepa. So that means there was a sense of commitment put in and instilled in me. As I toured the US, I was able to learn quite a lot. But before I traveled to the US, I get invited to Mathare to go and perform at a gig in Mathare. That time I am at Daystar University working, and I've started a group called Afrizo. So they invited to go and sing. So I collect all the people I can imagine can sing. We train for 2-3 days. We go and hit bingo in Mathare. And we said, these are Mathare people in the slum who have experienced hard life. We must soothe their souls with music. But in the congregation sits one person from the US, and he listens to us and say, wow, this girl, if this team comes to the US, what is it going to be like? Then not a moment, I mean, like about 2 weeks after, we have graduation, Daystar graduation, kawaida, and we sing, I uniformize us, and then we sing in graduation. There goes another one who says, wow, we have this kind of celebration. How about a Afrizo coming to the US? Before I know it, I'm teaching in class 17 weeks every year, every term, every semester at Daystar. And then the vice chancellor says, you know, we need to deploy her. Take her to corporate affairs and let her use music to market the university so that she's not going to 17 weeks of class. Let's deploy her. So I'm deployed. I'm taken to corporate affairs. And then they said, now you are going to go to the US and there's this trip, 100 days. It didn't take long. We start processing the visas and we're granted. We go to the US. First, we went to the US as a team of 5. After that, we went as a team of 8, a team of 9, then back to a team of 8. So this vice chancellor thought about us doing concerts and people raising funds for us to come back and sponsor that person who has not been able to pay school fees, just as one way of fundraising for that person who lacks school fees. So we partner up with Daystar. They take us to the US. What happens to me? I had just finished Tusker Project Fame. In my head, I'm feeling like the principal. I'm feeling like the voice coach. And I feel like everybody should know who Hellen Mtawali is. I get to London, actually go through London. And this guy asks me, hello, how are you doing? What's your name? Okay. So hiyo nimetoka hapa airport, and the airport in Nairobi, Kenya, they're like, oh, principal, hey, principal, wow, Tusker Project Fame, wow, when are you coming back? Everybody knows me. Nafika London wanauliza, who are you? Wakati huo, there was the people like, do you know me? You should know people. Nichune mepo yako, you should know people. I was asked literally that question throughout the whole journey in the US. Na mimi nikasema, God give me the ability and power. By the time I leave the US, kila mtu imejua Helen ni nani. Actually, that's what happened. The second time I went, it was like, we used to do flash mobs even in the airport, and people would just get autographs, wazungu's getting excited. Hapo ukienda kuimba, tulijaribu flash mob hapa, polisi alikuja, yes, unapiga kelele. Huko ukiimba hata kwa supermarket mnaanza tunamaliza kuchakula du. Eskizeni dadana, and after you are singing, everybody just you hear the whole and they don't clap for 1 minute. They clap and clap, and you feel like, yeah. So when I went to London and this person does not know me, it was humbling. Nikajua kumbe mimi si Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is all over the world kama Coca-Cola. First of all, I tell musicians, as you continue in your music journey, never put it in your head that you're a celebrity, because you just might be shocked. You go to a place and who cares? Nobody knows that you're a celebrity for what? It's in your country. Go to France. Do they know you? Have you spoken even to but nobody knows you in France. Have you gone to Indonesia? Nobody knows you in Indonesia. And Ethiopia, wachana na wazungu. What about our African countries? Go to Nigeria. Can they even recognize you outside the commodities? They don't know anything about you. Yeah? If anything, you are just others. Chineke me. Calm down. Calm down to yourself, and then you wonder, hey, I have not made history yet. You could be known in Mathare, known in Nairobi. You have not gone to Western Papas. Ukoko ama uko. So that was my plumb line. I said, you know what? By the time I am done with my music, let me leave a legacy enough for people to recognize me, and that I experienced first from my mentor, Japheth Kasanga, who mentored me when I was just learning how to sing professionally. Took me to the studio. I knew what the studio is. Today, I can sit down and tell you what happens in the life of a musician, expectations, etc., because of those people who have been there before me and showed me the way. So I would tell every musician, let it not be in your head that you are known, because you don't know where you're going. When you've gone that place and 5 people are able to recognize you, then be happy. At least the people, because sometimes people recognize you and they don't say it. They're shy to tell you. But today, I can walk in the street like Tusker Project Fame happened 14 years ago. They still remember me to date. So what is it I'm doing to fund this gift to ensure that people still have me in their memories? Thank God for my eyes. At least there's uniqueness. Because certain people get you by the features that you have. So they can tell by how you look. My eyes make me stand out. They're like, yeah, that lady was green eyes, hazel eyes. Ule kona macho kama ya paka. So at least I know. Yeah. So so as you grow, as you keep going on, I like the fact that was really humbling for me in the US to be able to know that nobody knows me until I was able to do trip 1, trip 2, trip 4. By the time now I went back, people were like, Helen! I'm like, finally. Lakini bado, juu airport watu change kila saa. So I still find other people at the airport that'll ask me still that same question. What's your name? Who are you? Anyhow, in my music journeys, when I go to the US, I get to go to different places, know the US like the back of my hand, know it better than the people themselves, travel to different places. First time we went there, we went to 28 different states. Second time we went to 17. We came to lesser because now we were very intentional in how we raise funds. But the time, the different moments that we had in the US were life-changing. Life-changing moments for me. Because first of all, knowing that you could be in the midst of just white color around you and you're the only black person, or there are several of Muzungus around you and you are just this group. In the America, they celebrate people more than us here. We would go to places and they like the fact that we are invited to go to a place to go and do a concert. Those guys will advertise. They will advertise right now. Go to Hellen Mtawali and just Google Hellen Mtawali or Hellen Mtawali. Pages and pages. Who are those? Wazungu. Walikuwa na to advertise. When we go to those places, they want people to come in, and that time the internet was just the in thing. So that was their one avenue for advertisement, for people to come. And then also people would respond back. It's a church and you have this, page on YouTube, you have this page and you want people to give feedback, etc. So even without knowing, I became very, very popular online in the US. Sometimes I even research myself, who has written something about me today? And I get shocked. People keep posting stuff. I told you my YouTube has only 150 subscribers. Niliwacha. Watu kila mtu anaandika content juu yangu. Kila mtu anaandika content. And, I'm really old school, and I'm proud of it. Old is gold. Like I come here and you actually ask for consent, etc. Mimi ni consent, si consent. Unataka nikuambie niko. Nitakuambia bwana. Alafu sasa nikikunyima content enda wapi nayo? Kwa grave nayo nikakufa nayo. Hapana. So I'd rather tell you to help somebody else who is coming to tomorrow, who probably wants to walk my journey and past, etc. So me, information, I say I'm not going to die with it. That's why I teach you to teach somebody. Once I tell you, make sure that you're telling somebody about what you've learned, even if it is one statement, that you listened to me. And I tell my students all the time, I'm here to teach you guys so you can teach somebody else. And I do it even for 4-year-olds, for 4-year-olds who have come, because they know how to communicate. That also sharpens their communication anyway. So most of my students excel. Today I was looking at one who was my personal assistant for a long time. He has ametoa kanini album. He's a pastor now. And this is one person that was laughed at. You're going to stay next to mama for how long? He stayed under my mentorship for 6 years. But today he's powerful and full of gist because he studied me for 6 years. You can imagine if somebody studies me for 1 day and is able to duplicate what I tell them for 1 day. What about somebody who has stayed with me for 6 years? There's a lot of information within them. And they've seen me actually give it out freely. Therefore, they should be able to do that freely as well. So I listened to him and people laughed at him, saying he was tone deaf. He doesn't know, but listen to him. Oh my gosh, today, hey. I listen to him, I'm like, when will alichekelewa kama he doesn't? And today I say, as long as you can talk, you can sing. And most of the people who have been really, really good are tone deafs. Those who remember, usikii kama yako ni chini na hii iko juu. Tupandishe kama volume. Hapo. Shikilia hapo. Rudia tena. Umechuka hapo chini aje. Siwaze kupanda ngazi vile tulipanda. By the time they learn it, I'm telling you, I become so proud of them. And those are the best of the teachers because they later on master the art so well. They master it until now you tell them, okay, now duplicate what you have just mastered. They're willing to do that freely because at some point they were laughed at that they can't. Now they can. So why should they not give the information freely? How did I grow up? The environment that I grew in, my mother is a teacher. My father was a soldier. I said, the then Kenya Air Force. So people believe that soldiers are very strict. And my mother was not just a teacher. She ended up being a principal, not for a few years, but many, many years. So she was a principal and the head of a school. So as I grew up, there are certain things definitely you'd learn from teachers. They are very strict in time. There's order in whatever they do. Now, without knowing, by osmosis, we gathered that. My mother was a teacher. I never imagined that I would be a teacher. But when you ask me, there's this composition that people used to be asked when you're in school. What do you want to become when you grow up? In every reason, I loved and admired nurses. Why? Uniform. Just because they put on white and sometimes we'd even actually enact nurses. Do you want to be injected today? Even if you don't want to be injected, it's important for your life and your health. That was for me angelic. And plus the uniform, plus the white thing would do in the head, it just makes somebody look sexy and nice, and and the white dress, etc. Except one time when I was going to be baptized, my mother made for us white gowns. I looked terrible. I looked terrible in the white gowns, and that was the end of the story for nursing. No more nursing. This is how I look in white. I stopped thinking about nurses. So I was asked again, so what do you want to become when you grow up? I thought of an engineer, but mathematics, chemistry, physics, all those things could not enter my head. So I had to think again, what is it you want to become? I said, I don't know what I'll become until I become it. So eventually I would hear people saying, hey, you taught me so well. Oh, at some point I was called Mwalim. Why? Because I taught somebody how to sing. And I said, not bad. If anything, my mother is a teacher, so no problem. Then I started listening to motivational talks, started listening to great speakers, went to Daystar University where I pursued education, which meant that I had to learn how to teach. And standing in front of people to teach does not leave you at that. You have to master your content. You must be fluent in communication. So I started seeing how the crossword puzzle fits in. Eventually, one day I stand in front of people, I'm told, Helen, could you just speak about this, etc. The confidence I had was confidence for 20 people. I stood very, and I imagine my mother, very, very confident to give information. And people laughed and people clapped. Then came the US tour, where I have to give a brief of who we are at every point in time before we sing. My communication skills became better and better and better. Lo and behold, I have taught for more than 30 years, and I did everything to ensure that I eventually became a public speaker. Not just a public speaker, funny, hilarious, and whatever you want. Except I'm not a stand-up comedy, no. So I did everything it could, first of all, to nurture my music and ensure that I'm so good. Also to ensure that I can be able to speak languages, not just English. Today I speak 16. I'm learning Chinese. Ni hao. South Korean. Annyeonghaseyo. Let's stop at that for now. But I ensured that these people who never believed that I could be something as somebody could now know that I got excellence in what I do. So today, it has shaped my songwriting skills enough to know how to write songs on the spot. That after a communicator, in fact, I'm doing one on Saturday. After somebody communicates, let me come up with a song to push in whatever point they were coming in. It helps to emphasize the keynote points that every speaker says. And most companies admire me for that because I get jobs. Even whichever company you can imagine here in Kenya, I know at some point in time I wrote a song for them. In fact, there's a course at Daystar that I learned. It was called Music in Africa, which exposed me to different music from different parts of the world. So I appreciate different sounds and seeing the importance. Then at Daystar, there's also something they do called creative thinking. In every time you sit in front of a teacher, they're not just teaching you. They want to ensure that you learn from the book, learn from the teacher, but there's something you're saying. So that triggered my creativity, so that you're actually thinking out of the box. Look at this professor who would come and teach me music, but they said, in fact, what actually chokos at me and triggered me was she used to write things about what I do. So we do the music making and musicking. After that, she would study me and write. Eventually, she wrote a book and have a section that she's written about me. So I was like, mother anatengeneza kitabu juu yangu. So what is it that I'm bringing to the picture? I saw value. So I said, this value added, what is it? So with masters and kind of education, I studied this. I thought, how? To also be an innovator. What is it that will make me stand out? So apart from the education plus the nurturing that I received from my parents, I identified other things that would make me unique. So I teach you how to sing, But what will make my singing unique? Is it just singing? Eventually, when Tusker Project Fame came in, I came up with a syllabus. After teaching tone deaf for a long time, came up with a little syllabus that would help people who are not musicians to know how to quickly stand out. So with that said, I learned how to identify items that will make me stand out. And that is in music, dance, drama, creativity, and writing. Because music is related to those 5 disciplines. Not just music. After singing, then what? What is it that's going to make my voice stand out? I came up with 67 techniques that can make anybody shine. Even if you just took one technique. I have a love that is all what I know. Right or wrong, what else can I do? That's basic. But I have a love that is all what I know. No, 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 no. I'm using a technique called repeat. So I can just use that one to stand out. I'm like, what did they do? And it's actually as basic as just using one thing to make you stand out. So I discovered that those techniques, once anybody who can speak or anybody who feels that they have a sense of music identifies them, even if you took 2 or 1 and made that stand out, you will earn what we are calling a money note. Money note is that thing that you will do. You go all the way, sustain that note until people are like, oh, hey, she's losing breath. The people will just clap for you. And as I continued on, I applied it almost in everything I do. So in the music making, find out some things that's going to make you stand out. Trying to imitate an instrument. Fikiria umbu. Think of something. What is it you can do that will make you stand out? I play all instruments. Oh, literally. Yeah. I decided, and this is something I learned, that in the music making, that people can disappoint you. So eventually I had to learn how to play the drum set, how to learn to play the keys. But keys was intentional because there's no way you call yourself a musician without learning at least a melody instrument. Yeah. Then I continue on, moving on swiftly, music, dance. At some point, I became a renowned choreographer for government universities. When we do a choir, mass choir, Hellen Mtawali, please come and do choreography. And I would shine. I just had to listen to, see dancers, see where their perspective from, how do they create dances. And I would create dances for university choirs. And I was renowned for that time. The Gava also would pay me for doing that. We do choirs. After choirs, Hellen Mtawali comes in and said, Helen, teach us a song. And in this song, please choreograph. So I learned how to dance. Then later on, drama. Drama is when somebody identified me when we did Sarafina with Sterling Q. And in acting, also you are able to articulate your words well, finish your words well. You don't swallow your words, your diction and things like that. And then to creativity. You see this dress I put on, you can put it on 7 times, 7 different ways. And that's a creativity call. Sometimes creativity also makes you become very sharp in identifying color, knowing what colors would go well with your skin, what are the colors that you can block and still look nice. You don't look like you've color clashed, but you've color blocked. Yeah, all this is in the life of a musician. What hairstyle do you do? I stopped going to the salon, I think 25 years ago. I do my own hair. Ever since I do my own hair. And that's all a creativity call. I do my nails, I do my beauty and stuff by myself. So these are things that come in when you identify what kind of musician you want to be. And in the verge for finding how unique you will be, you will see. Because mi nilikosa nguo kwa supermarket siku moja nikiangalia nikasema wacha nijijengee nguo. Ile naweza kutengeneza mara mingi sana. It still flatters me, but still makes me stand out. But it's different. Like I said, as I continued finding different ways of how to look, music and creativity, inside us the creativity. In a song, Loli wewai dudula, Lolly wewai dudula, lolly wewai dudula, nangesiza. It's not my language, but when I get a song like that, how would Helen sing in? Lolly wewai dudula, lolly wewai wai dudula. Singer did not sing it like that. So I discover ways of expressing myself, probably using the techniques that I know. So invention is really, really part of a musician, which now ties in on the last concept, songwriting. Now ukiangalia musician mzuri, we are forever writing. We write and write because we want to express what we experience in our lives. And even my body, by the way, is an evolution. Look at how I looked when I just started singing. Manze, the evolution itself. And how I look now. You can actually say now, as I grow older, it's like fine wine. It becomes sweeter as days go by. And I think that's what I love about music. Music is really trendy like fashion. And it also depends on what the people are saying. If you want to know a people, listen to their music. It will tell you about their culture, tell you about a lot of stuff. And that's why musicians are revered in different communities, because they would also help to make sure that the music is passed on, culture is passed on, and several aspects also passed on. Except now, the music today, especially in Kenya, and the music back then is way different, because at that time, maybe people didn't exchange notes on how to songwrite. Remember, we're going to a time of AI, where you might even find machines singing better than you. What I would say is, in terms of content, where we were at then and today, people were very basic in the past. But today, there's a lot more, because there's the cultural fusion. There's a lot happening about people's cultures. People are remarrying, marrying different people from different parts. So our music wouldn't be as rich as it was before. Luo music then was great, but today Luo music, there's a lot of fusion that you can hear somebody singing, but then because English is very close to Luo, you will hear Luo pain. Or Mera, before I start this section, I want to sing for you. And Kijaluo, you want to sing Luo, but then there's a way you have to push in some English because of the cosmopolitan nature of our surroundings. And plus, you cannot avoid it. Like we say, music picks a lot of culture, picks a lot of people's identity within and without. So I want to say, back then we used to enjoy music, but today there's a lot more that's happening in music. Also, know that there was a lot of content in the past, knowing that if you come look at the Christian music, people would sing songs, hymns that had a lot of content. People have become a little lazy today. They don't want to sing a lot of words. They leave it all on the soloists, baby, or they want to be as brief as possible. How can a South African just come up with a song, a whole 3-minute song? I chokocha, I chokocha, I chokocha, I chokocha, I chokocha, for 3 minutes. And what does the Kenyan say? Apewe mate, apewe amapiano imeshaingia bali bado. Yani mpaka now you feel like, I think it's Tanzanians who are still keeping the content. And listen to the diamond, listen to the choral music from Tanzania, it's rich. Lakini Kenya, Kemwiru, oh sorry, I'm not mentioning names. At some point in time when we were growing up, it was like, Dewashiyama, 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 Ae Dewashiyama. Album 2, Ogatiguonehu. Album 4, Mambo Mambo. Mambo Mambo is technically the same tune, but he's changed different lyrics. So there's a lot of simplicity that people desire in today's world that lives out so much that was there before. Listen to the way people used to write songs, even in the past. Listen to a Kikuyu spiritual, and listen to the way we do that today. We try in ways to keep it, but again, trends. Like long time ago, people would put on all this cloth and drapes, etc. And today, you can feel free walking in a bikini. Less is more. I tell you, yeah. But I love the fact that there are certain things that still spill through the times, can never grow old, in terms of our values being spread into through music and different things that people do. You tell a people's morality by the music they do. One of the funniest things about music, that even if you did something vulgar, you're safe in music. You're safe. Unaweza hata tukana president, but you're safe in music, because music has a way of creating that balance. In one way it looks hilarious, in one way it feels like even the wrong things, put it in music, people will cease to look at the wrong thing about it and appreciate it as art. So that's where, for people like us, you want to be careful, yes, to know what is it you want to sing, what is it you're articulating, but then you're still safe, because music makes it safe. I don't know about it. I think that's why most people abuse that opportunity by saying, let's put it in music. Nobody will accuse you. Diamond has said several vulgar stuff in his music, but he's still safe. If anything, you find people that people are dancing to the music. Hata Mkristo, hiyo beat ni tamu sana, wacha tu ni dance. Kwani ni kesho, you know? Yeah. So music has a way to make people feel even safer than they would imagine. What was outstanding about Tusker Project Fame was the money. For the first time, I was paid much more than I could ever imagine. And just for the first time that a lot of money was in my hands, and I could just basically do anything. And I would walk with my head high. You know, when you have money, you feel like the world should know. Niko, najisikia unataka? Odogu, don't enter the place, what do you want? The emperor, the conqueror, the champion, the lion is here. Ayaga, yaga. So I love Tusker Project Fame because the difference was, from any other pay I have ever received, I received quite a lump sum. And I thought it was only once, but it spilled over the years. I did it severally. So in terms of making me relate with great money, that made me feel very good. And my mother was an inspiration, and my pastor, because they told me, Helen, if you were teaching music in KU, what would you do? So I had a chance to go and witness Christ to those who don't know him through Tusker Project Fame. Well, everybody's accusing you, and Christians are worse, because they would be like, leo umeguza gapi dada yangu? Are you streaming the bottles? So I had to defend myself. Later on, Pastor Adoyo, Mrs. Adoyo, actually defended me. I was like, I didn't know I was doing such a huge sin. But I enjoyed my moment in Tusker Project Fame. As I continued teaching, I would teach what I don't know. Like, people are singing literally secular songs, and I'm grown up from it. That's the kind of literature I know. But because of how I look, the way I sound, people imagine that I can actually be an advisor. I said, yes, take up the baton and task. I learned everything else about music and musicianship to come and explore and help people sing well at Tusker Project Fame. Eventually, people got to know that I had certain strength, including the people who would hire us. Because for them to call you severally, that means it's added value, which I thank God for. So I did Tusker Project Fame, not to go and drink Tusker, because even the students were not allowed to drink or smoke. But I did my job as a music teacher, vocal coach. Today, I love the fact that people know me as a voice coach because of the experience of having to teach different people with different vocal timbres and ensure that they give the best at the end of the show. And our shows used to shine. In fact, after we started training on Tusker Project Fame, if you came in even as one of the best celebrated musicians, people would see the difference and actually say, hey, we bado wako mbali, mtoweni, wacha tusikie students wetu. And for me, that as a teacher is good, because I'm like, kumbe, with rigorous training, you can sound so bad. Eventually, you become so good that people would listen to you like, what is the next thing you're going to surprise us with? And every time, students would surprise us with elements we taught them. By the time they stand on stage to sing, they have brought it out in a way that you just go. So for me, that was a fulfillment. My first steps, baby steps, were made in Tusker Project Fame as a voice coach. And eventually, as I became the principal, knew even how to do administration. Then later on, other shows calling us. I've been called to other shows, courtesy of Tusker Project Fame. Went to the US to do what is called Beyond Idols, where they invited people from different parts of different countries, parts of the world, to do Beyond Idols, that are beyond Christian show, but beyond any show that was like Idols. And I was the one representing Africa. Went to Ethiopia to go and still represent them and say, Helen, we have identified you. There's something we've read on the internet. Somebody coming all the way from Pennsylvania to come and interview me and say, Helen, would you like to join us to go to Ethiopia and do this tour? We want you to be the one singing, leading people in praise and worship, because we have different leaders from different parts of Africa. Would you be able to learn different songs? I learned different songs, including Amharic. And I was a celebrity in Ethiopia in 1 week because of being able to articulate Amhara. When I'm Africa, sauti tofauti, hey, and they know how to do. I was a celebrity in 1 week, bwana. Because they say, they speak like at the end of the statement, could have full stop. Ethiopia was the best place I ever went, where everybody is beautiful. If you're a pastor, don't go to Ethiopia. Please, don't go to Ethiopia. You will fall in sin. Everybody is beautiful. All the women there are like, it's a dark figure, lakini mrembo mbaya. Nasema, Mungu, kwani ulianza kuumba hapa? Uliwacha wa Tanzania wapi? Turkana uliwacha? Yeah, so I just love the fact that my experiences in life have been very purposeful, and I'm glad that I could even write a book. By the way, I've been writing books, and people have written books about me, helped me to write books as well. Sasa hiyo ninataka kuventure in my latter life to see whether I can be able to be a scribe of my own, to write and leave a legacy. So my best memory in Tusker Project Fame was when Ruth won. Because Ruth, I mentored her back to back. We went to a tour in the US. And when we got to the US, we almost deported her because we thought she was full of herself. And she would sing off. Ruth starts very well, but somewhere in the middle, I don't know what kind of excitement. She would be whoosh, absolutely off, and she does not feel it until we told her, Ruth, unarudi home. And immediately, she would now concentrate and sing very well. When she came back, she joined Tusker Project Fame. And guess what? She won. Definitely that is my pride as a teacher, knowing that she has ability to listen and give the best. Today, she's a pastor. And she's gone through a lot, but how God can mold someone into what people don't expect, into this big iconized person. And still to know that she's human, because it did not stop her to go through challenges, but God has molded her. And today, I'm telling you, she respects me as a mother from all the things that she's gone through because of the moments she experienced in Tusker Project Fame. That was one highlight that I had. I also loved the interaction between the crew and the whole set of how Tusker Project Fame was done was really, really professional. Tusker Project Fame went to 8 countries. That means we used over 200 million to market the show. Money calls in for money. For them to be able to bring in as much as they used to earn, they had to invest heavily. Also, the privilege that I had on Tusker Project Fame as the principal, growing from voice coach into being the principal. Privilege. The last season, I didn't do it well because I was sick. I felt sick. Diabetes hitting big time. And I can remember in Tusker Project Fame when they would ask for every meal I would ask for Fanta, and I overdrank Fanta, yani. Mlevi afadhali. I overdrank it. Kumbe, I was actually digging my own grave. So the last thing I was like, I had headache until Kavuda looked at me and she said, "Hey, madam, do you take drugs?" I'm like, "What drugs?" Kavuda just looked at me and said, "Hey, you're not looking fine." My eyes were red, short, red. And I told her, "Kavuda, I'm feeling a headache here and another one here." I collapsed on the road to hospital. That's when they diagnosed it. I had diabetes and they had to inject me. Because it's your goopy. Diabetes the need is your goop. Yeah, so I just love the fact that that was a life changer for me. Breaking even is not usually very easy, but then I was able to understand what it means to have so much money and take charge. I had students who, till date, remember the work that happened in there, and they can see me and they just marvel. The media and everybody in the world who saw the program still remembers me to date. That was the beginning of me knowing my purpose for life. Let me talk about Achieng as my mentor. Achieng was my mentor by default. Because first of all, she worked with my brother, my late brother. She needed a drama, and my brother had gone somewhere and she met Achieng. I said, "Hey, you want a drama? I am one." That time my brother was not very good as a drummer, but Achieng made her become one of the best drummers. And then when I started a band, I used my brother for a while, would go out and gig, like that. Before you know it, he passed away. But so that introduced me to Achieng. And Achieng again, I met her now when they needed a voice coach. She recommended Eric Wenaina, me, Atemi, and a few more. But out of them, she was asked, "Who would you work best with?" She pointed me. And they said, "Go ahead, find her." And that's how Tusker Project Fame picked me. And I worked with her through the journey. So every time we'd go to class, listen, I came from a Christian background, like I told you, Christian Neto. My vocabulary was hymns, like an SDA. My vocabulary was Twende Kwaye, so mimi nawe. Now you're changing this person into somebody who listens. And I cared less. I never used to listen to any other music apart from that. But if somebody stood in front of me and needed me to tell them what they're singing wrong, I would know, because I had very sharp ears. So Achieng called me in her house and she said, "Helen, these people are going to call you, and when they call you, ideally, you must be able to quote a quotation that is going to surprise and mesmerize." So we did engage in a conversation of how to price Tusker Project Fame. Eventually, Project Fame picked me with their budget. After she told me, "Helen, tell them 3 million. Mi nimezoea nikienda mahali nalipwa 2K. Unataka nianze kucall 3 million ya kasi gani? 2K, the best I was paid at that time, I was singing with Kasangas. 2K was a lot. For me as a student, 2K was a lot. I was able to budget. Now telling me from 2K, I call for 3 million. And whatever Achieng, which kind of world are you living in? "Helen, I am telling you, Bwana, if these people call you, please do a quotation." That's a quotation yenyewe hata mimi mwenyewe sijui kufanya. So she mentored me through. And then they say, "Okay, Helen, when they call you, just tell them, what do you have?" And that's how I got employed. And because if anything, she actually recommended and was referred to me. And we worked together. I listened to her choose songs, go through a plethora of repertoire. Some that I listened to the radio and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, oh." So I'm supposed to sit here and tell people, guys, the section you sang of Afro, Mtoto wa Sagane, you want to change how to. The first time was a struggle, but I still did it through her guidance. Helen, so we'd sit in and then we would judge, listen to the student. And I'm telling you, I was one of her best students because I would take in everything she said about the student. Mimi ni nani? I listened to you once, the second time, I'm better than you, bwana. Kwani ni kesu? So she taught me, and we were eventually like this. If I pushed back my hair like this and walked in town, people would call me Achieng, except my eyes. So I would tell her, Achieng, do you know people call me Achieng? "Helen is the hairstyle, bwana. Can't you see that? there is one of the ways that our foreheads look the same. It's just that this one. And Achieng was hilarious. I would go sometimes to Achieng's house to just listen to her humor. Achieng, I didn't know that she did not know Swahili that much. So one time we sit and then we're going to judging some music and say, "Ay, nataka huyo famous grouse kumpitie na wewe nikisa kumpata tafuta mimi niko hapa KICC ukiona kama wewe nitakumpotea." I was like, this girl, is she acting or is it truth? After a while she actually was speaking Swahili that way. I said, Achieng yawa, hey, banta miko kile Kiswahili imekusenda yawa tu, imekusenda. After I said, Helen, kuna mtu niko hapo kwa gate. So I listened to her. Achieng would unleash very huge vocabulary in English. Achieng, with her whatever accent, but she would have this typical old woman type of gait that ama posture. That's when she wants to talk, she like English. When she spoke English, she spoke like a 3-year-old. The dynamics of, and every word she unleashes was English until Englishizes. I was like, hey, this lady. So I used to take notes of everything she tells my students. I'm there like a caricature, grotesque, stooge, ninasikiliza tu, lakini by the time I'm done with Achieng and listening to the comments she's giving, I had learned a lot. Eventually, I learned how to direct choirs, direct music. I learned how to judge music. I learned how to teach music from Achieng. When she died, long story cut short, we went to the funeral. And as we went to the funeral, I see my relatives. And I'm like, these guys know Achieng. Yani Achieng was so popular that my relatives have come. My grandmother told me, Helen, you know this is your cousin, distant cousin. It hit me hard. I was like, no wonder. And Achieng was my confidant. I was her confidant. She was my confidant. Achieng would not call nobody except me. And when she calls me, I have to also give her an appointment. She has to know. One time we went there, in Alvan. We're going to sing Achingabura. Achieng, we're going to surprise her. Helen, you are at my gate. I said, yes. I'm at the gate. We want to come. You have come with Alvan. I'm sorry, Helen. I'm not receiving guests today. Sasa hiyo tushanunua mkate, maziwa, kusema Alvan, tujibambe. You would not see her without an appointment. She was that private. Until I realized later why. Because in the music industry, it's wild. Very wild. You cannot just walk into anybody because hujui unaenda na nani. Mimi tu ndio niko na hiyo free heart spirit, but today nobody even knows where I stay. Just a few core. Ile nikishikwa ama kitu yote fanyike nasema ni wewe ndio unajua kwangu, ni wewe ndio ilifanya hii. Music industry is wild. So I really appreciate Achieng. Even before she died, there's a lot I had learned from her, where she would invite me. Only that she was addicted to soda. Father, help me. Mungu nisaidie niwachane tu na soda pole pole nani. Mungu nisaidie. Addicted to certain things that definitely when she died, the body was shocked because she was very big and frustrations come that time when money and the industry just goes down. It hit her like a bad habit. Prince's health was really going down and she didn't know what to do, and she needed to confide into someone who can be able to help her. One drug for Prince cost 12,000 shillings daily. Hata kawe ndio mdosi aina gani, si pesa zinaisha. She took care of her child so much she forgot herself until she lost faster than the body expected. So when she went to hospital, she was told, Helen, Achieng pole, you have lost so fast, you need to recover your body back so that you can now stream slowly. That's what killed Achieng. That's what killed her. People are thinking that Prince would die before Achieng. But actually, Prince lived several years after Achieng had died, even a stronger man. May her soul rest in peace, Achieng. Wherever you are, may God bless you for the things that you did to my life that has changed my life, because you were a legend, and not just a legend, but a hilarious being. And I know very many times I would stay in her house just to listen to her humor. And some of the humor that Achieng would make, kuna watu watasika after 2 weeks. Helen, that humor passed you. Hiyo ilikupita. I was trying to be funny, but yeah, but God bless her wherever she is. Some of my down moments are when you work, give your best with in what you want to do, then comes in somebody who is a blackmailer. So blackmail, people who come close to you, not because they admire who you are, but they come because wametumwa. This life is both physical and spiritual. Kuna watu hutumwa. They just come, and I'm telling you, your life goes a certain corner and you're like, why? But walitumwa. So that has been part of my saddest moments, when I realized that somebody you really, really value actually hakuja kufanya kazi na wewe kwa sababu anataka, alitumwa. And I've had several of those where people come and they even sign up, become part of your team, but they come to taint your name, and they'll use every reason to find a way. And later on, they will laugh about it and say, ha, sorry. Do you know, if you do not do this, I will do this? I don't know how God has wiped them out, because once I notice that it is spiritual, I go on my knees. Have you ever prayed somebody off? Yeah. So people like that, number one, I pray them off. Something happens to their life that they just they get sidelined. Probably the presence of God in my life has made so much stuff, drama that would have happened, stay off me. Yeah, but mostly would be issues with relationships, issues to do with money. Somebody actually asking for so much money, they know they cannot be able to give back, but they're trying you to see whether you can be able to withstand. At some point, I invested so much and bought a lot, and then one of the ones that I brought up just came and stole everything. And then she tells you, call police. Call police. Yeah, I still pray for that guy until today. In fact, we meet sometimes in the street. I'm like, yeah! I don't want to call his name, but yeah! And he will hug me. Yeah, but I know very well that he did this. Yeah, so I just ask God every time that I go through downs, moments like those, that let him increase as I decrease, so that I don't see or whatever has happened. For me, I would like to be remembered for music making, lives of those who were turned down into audition and told you cannot sing, and today they make huge and great musicians. My wow and aha moment would be that when an autistic child, like those that I train kids with autism, schizophrenia, and dyslexia, combination of that. Currently, they brought me in a person who has combination of autism and cerebral palsy. Those are kids that many people would disqualify them not to be okay, but I've worked with some. There's one that I'm taking to South Africa in September because of the impact that she has had among autistic children. So that's my aha moment when I see that happen. Somebody who probably their parents had given up, the society has stigmatized them and said there's nothing good that can come out of them. They have been hidden. Let me be the person that can listen to them and create hope, create life in their lives. And I'm glad that is happening now. I have a school, Africa Online Vocalists. It's been there in existence. I think this is the third, fourth year that we are existing, and I have had over 300 students who have walked in and out and today are very productive. So just in case you want to study with me, please go. And AI, I'm telling you, it is here already. And you cannot say, I'm not going to school because you can't get there. Oh, sijui sina fare. Just invest in bundles and we will accept you as a student. As long as you can talk, you can sing. Go ahead, hit that button and apply. Africa Online Vocalist is found on YouTube. You find us on Facebook. You also find us on Instagram. Go ahead and apply if you want to. Our fee is not very expensive. We'll talk to you about the school fees, but know that if you have shown me interest, I am nobody to stop you. The other project that we are working on is if you think you're talented, if you know you're talented, holla 0722 699 32 is my number. Look for me because doors are not yet closed.